people talk, listen, man, I'm going to raise that red flag.
This narrative, especially after 1 year, one bad year, it's one big splash move. And because I don't think people understand how much cap space we can create.
Alex, I want to ask you, because you're a very humble person.
And I'm never going to be right about anything.
Yeah.
I was right.
What's up, y'all?
Yo, what's up?
Finally got OPM in the house. How you doing, man? I'm so glad to finally meet you face to face.
Man, I am good. I'm glad to actually be doing something like this. My wife has actually been saying that, like, yo, you're in spaces, you're on Twitter all the time. Just get on YouTube with someone and just go. And I'm like, no, I don't have a running mate. And then you sent me messages like, yo, you should get on the show. So I'm like, I'm back at school. I don't have a crying baby in the background or a toddler behind me. So let's go after it.
Yeah, dude, when you're locked in, man, I know when you have a kid and you can't do anything creative, like you can't even like go read a book because you got a kid. So you're like, I got it. I also want to talk to a human because I'm just like stuck at home like with the baby all the time. And I want to like, it's just a very simplified thing of, I just want to be at a bar and talk junk with a dude and about sports. I don't have that anymore because I have to dad. So just getting that dad, honestly, that's the reason I do it. And for all the haters out there, I ain't doing it for ego or to make money or anything like that. I'm doing it because I need to talk to human beings.
Right. Right.
So,
and Panther fans. So, I'm big at my age now where it's like, I'm going to hang with people and talk to people that have interest in the things that I have interest in. And I'll go for days. Basketball, I'll talk all day about Carolina basketball. This fall, dude, I'm here, man.
When I used to bartend, and like my goal was to understand every single sport, so I just like dive into everything. So I learned all about Premier League, NHL, like all that kind of stuff, just because I had the desire to talk sports. But honestly, nobody really cares about any of this. So let's dive into Panthers talk. It's like I feel like everybody has already just like passed by this part of the video. So here's where here's where me and you kind of started being like, oh, we're on the same page with this. And you can look over our Twitter history and see how we felt at the time and how we kind of felt over the years. My opinion is that Dave Canales is a good coach and he's a good dude, but he is insecure because he knows he just skipped the line to get to being a coach. And I was saying like insecure as a human. I'm talking about insecure as like, am I fraud? Like everybody has that. So I'm not trying to say that he's an insecure guy. I'm saying that in the position that he's in, he is not saying that I know what I'm doing. That's what I'm saying. I think that he is also easily manipulated by ownership. So I'm gonna just go over what we thought in the moment and how I think now, based on the more data that I get, and I want to see if your opinion has changed on this subject. Our opinion in the moment was, we have all this data. We have like 20 years of data. If you get benched in the second year, you're done or the coach is done. It doesn't happen. It never happens. Canales did it as a new head coach week 3 after saying this dude was a starter. And I did a whole video of like, just think about the timeline. Think about how you watch tape.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. You had to travel. You had to spend time with your wife, your kid. You got to sleep. How much tape could you have possibly watched in that amount of time? I don't want to have that conversation, but that's how I felt at the time.
Yeah.
You did it for a dude that we've seen this. We understand who this guy is. He ain't taking you nowhere. Canales himself has said, I didn't do it for any reason except I was just trying to win that week. So I hated everything a part of that because you're basically just not developing your quarterback and taking away all his confidence, and you have no actual plan. Looking back, now knowing what I know about the cap situation as I dig further into it, We had been the last 2 years putting everything towards 2025. What we were trying to do was getting Bryce ready for year 3 for 2025. Why did we hire Canales? For that very specific goal of getting Bryce to be where he is in 2025, so that all of a sudden we have this cap overload that we can start filling in these positions. My conclusion now, what I think, it might be a tinfoil hat theory, who knows? I think Canales was like, we have a process, we'll get there. And then that next day, Tepper came in and said, bro, the plan is for 2025. Or 2025. I expected you to do, is Bryce just not the answer? I need to start seeing results. I'm getting somebody else in because I need us to be ready at quarterback for 2025. Me personally, I think that is what happened.
Yeah.
And Canales is kind of taking on that blame for it. Have you changed your opinion of that?
Man, that's a good question. When you put it like that, looking at the perspective of how he carried himself week to week and how it almost felt like he was like, wouldn't even wanting to answer any questions about Bryce. And then once we got Bryce back, it was more so like, yeah, we still have to look at it. In that perspective, I look at it and think that, yeah, that is exactly what he was doing. He's trying to save his ass, for lack of better words. My perspective has changed a little bit because Bryce came in and balled out. And I think because of that, that gives another level for Dave to feel like, ooh, all right, let's reset and let's start this year fresh. We know now what he's capable of doing. Now let's build on it. He actually said that with one of the guys in one of the interviews, the host guy, one of the Panthers hosts, where he was talking about like, once we seen what he was capable of doing, now let's continue to build the offense around Bryce. Let's add the tools. Let's get this defense right and let's move in this way. But and just hearing that, it was like, okay, that reset wasn't only just for Bryce, it was for him as well. Yeah,
But,
and the thing that I hated the most was how people kind of like just moved off of Bryce so fast and just like, and it was like, nah, we're not done with Bryce. Like there was so many people that was like, oh yeah, no, like we're gonna draft a quarterback or we're trading Bryce for X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I don't think we're done with that because in its purest form, Tepper gets a lot of smoke, but I was like thinking, I always came back to the point of Bryce is Tepper's investment. He's not gonna watch that fail.
Yep.
That was just the only thing for me. So like I said, just taking that reset and then going from seeing how those two married to each other and the offense began to open up more and more, it gave me confidence in not obviously with Bryce, but just more so in Dave of like, okay, we have a solid foundation of what we're going to build off of going into the future. And so my perspective changed on Dave a little bit.
I am, and people think I hate on Dave. I understand Dave. What I don't like is treating me like I'm stupid. There's something that had to have happened. This just doesn't happen. Don't just. We need people, reporters, to dig deeper. What the hell is going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
I need to know as a fan before I spend one more dollar investing in this team. Before I buy any more jerseys.
Yep.
Because as of right now, I'm just sitting here being like, I'm talking to fans of other teams. They're like, what the hell's going on with your team? I'm like, I don't freaking know. So that was my biggest problem in this whole situation. I understand being insecure. I understand getting bullied. I understand all this kind of stuff. Because Dave's like, yo, I need this to happen this year. If you can't do it, somebody else will. So I understand like the having to rush a little bit.
The motivation.
And honestly, all's well ends well. He got lucky. I still like the dude. Honestly, I like this whole team so far, except for maybe Evero, but we can get into that more. So Bryce, I mean, let's quickly touch on him. He's quarterback of the future. I've never seen somebody just carry a team on their shoulder, except for Cam, honestly. Just carry this team of honestly overall below average. He put him on his back. Such excellence. Anything that you want to just get out how you feel about Bryce, or is it kind of just like ditto?
I mean, it's ditto, but also it's just like, yeah, I mean, I think what I'm most proud about is just how he was able to silence the doubters without even acknowledging the doubters, right? Because like I think the coolest thing about him, especially him being that young, he's not too into the social media realm, so he's not really privy. Maybe he is, we don't know, but like he has a really good poker face in that sense. And so to see him go out each Sunday and continue the ball, even with Dave coming back and saying, yeah, well, we got to look at the tape. We have to reevaluate the week and da-da-da-da. It's like, no, and he comes out and he gets better each and every week. And it's like, my wife could tell you, dude, every throw, every possession, I was just like excited. On edge. It was like, oh my God, except for the Dallas game. But I mean, I think everybody has those hiccups, you know?
Yeah, it's also like he couldn't.
Yeah.
Dallas, sometimes teams come out and have great games, and sometimes teams come out and have, like, they have low energy. Especially when you have a winning streak or you feel you're like kind of have some swag. You don't take the team seriously. Yeah. And then Dallas had lost a bunch of games. They're like, yo, I'm tired. The Panthers freaking are favorites to win this game? No. This ain't happening. It happens, man. Mm-hmm. It happens all the time. So I want to move on a little bit. So let's talk pass catchers, because I think the fans as a whole, for me, I think that I'm higher on Leggett than most. What I don't like about Leggett is he's a not my fault guy. When I say not my fault guys, I didn't do something. Oh, I have a wrist problem. Oh, I have a foot problem. Champions, what they do, I'm playing. It's not a problem. Jimmy Butler, when he's in the championship game with the Heat, if I'm on the court, I'm 100%. That's what champions do. That's what great players do.
Yeah.
So I think we're overvaluing Coker a little bit. I was on the Coker train in March. I love Coker. I wanted us to draft Coker. Coker is 23. So he's like fully developed into his body. Mm-hmm. He's already having soft tissue problems. And you take that 180-yard catch away, he's a 300-plus yard receiver. Like, I like him. But this whole like wide receiver one talk, like he's going to be a top 20 receiver in the league, I don't see that at all. I think he can be a mid wide receiver 2 is his ceiling, and most likely he's going to be a top tier wide receiver 3, in my opinion. Thielen has had injuries his whole career, and he missed 8 games last year. Soft tissue. Mm-hmm. He's going to be 35. Mm-hmm. We got to stop acting like he's going to make it through a full season. Yes, when he's on the field, he plays well. Yeah. But man, he's about to be done. I think the upside is good enough with our cap situation that you bring him back. But you can't count on him being on the field. How do you feel like, how do you see our pass catchers in moving forward? And do you think that is like priority number 1, 2, 3? How would you rank that as a priority in the offseason?
It's for me, it's priority number 1. I think that whether that be via trade, via free agency, via draft, like I think that you have to. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like we're overvaluing Coker. Like that's not to negate his contributions of what he brought to us this year. But at the same time, there's a reason why, number 1, he went undrafted. But then 2, I'm with you with Leggett. Like, I personally felt like Leggett was a reach of a draft pick. I think the talent is cool, but he hasn't really shown us anything much more than just the possession catches when he does catch it, and it's still body catches. And I agree, he's an excuse guy to an extent. And so I like the idea of Thielen coming back only because of there's that familiarity, that comfortability, like, hey, there's my guy. But I said this last year going into to the draft, I wanted to double dip at receiver. I wanted to go, spend the first two second round picks on a receiver because we needed those pass catchers. And so looking at it this year, it's like, okay, well, if we acquire, let's just say, for example, we get DK Metcalf, that doesn't negate that we still shouldn't go get speed in the draft.
Yeah.
Like, we need speed. If that's Tez Johnson, if that's Luther Burden, whatever. We need guys that are going to put points on the board for us, man. Like, we don't have that. I also think, and not to go too far off, but like even in the running back room, yes, Chuba's great, but we don't have a home run hitter. We need guys that are just going to take tops off defenses. We need guys that you can throw a screen to and he can take it 15, 20 yards, maybe 30. Like, we don't have that. And so, yeah, we have to put as much as an urgency that we're going to do with defense in the offseason. We have to do that with receiver. We cannot let Bryce be the guy in Carolina that's Cam 2.0, where you take a Brenton Burleson, you take a Devin Funchess, you take a Philly Brown and a Greg Olsen to the Super Bowl, and then and Jericho Cotchery, and you tell him to win with that. That's not good organization. That's not how you set your quarterback up for success. So, number one on my list for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that the league values wide receiver now. All the rules help the offense. So you need to value offense. And everybody points to the Eagles. Look what the Eagles did to win the Super Bowl. Well, what they did first before they did the Carter-Jordan Davis thing is they got their receivers. Spent a second-round pick on Goddard.
Yep.
They traded a first for A.J. Brown. They spent a first on Devonta Smith. They went and got a playmaker in Barkley. That was the first. Those were the priorities. Let's not think that we have that offense already, because we don't. We got to do that offense, and then we can spin on the Jalen Carters that just happened to. I mean, let's call it what it is. They got lucky. Yeah. They got lucky that he dropped.
They got lucky.
Everybody thought he was going to be a top 10 guy. Yeah. Everyone thought he was going to be a top 10 guy.
Yes. Yeah. So, for sure.
So it's just wild to me that people are so. All right, so let's get into this. This is going to be a topic later on, but let's talk about this right now. The Twitter experts of the world. The Twitter experts. So I am not going to toot my horn about anything, but if I say something, I've spent hours thinking about this, and I thought about it for. I'm not going to come to a conclusion based on being like, oh, I like this guy. I watched a minute of highlights on him.
Yeah.
Never going to say that.
Yeah.
We have gotten to the point now where we will see whatever PFF grade or whatever, and this person's 15, and I'll be like, we should draft him at 8. Oh, well, we only need to do it if we trade back. What? Like, it's no, like, get your guy. if that's the guy you want, they might not be there. You don't know anything about what the other teams are. I mean, you know something about what the other teams are doing. We don't know anything. Also, if you want to come after someone about anything, like disprove what they say, or say that what they say is stupid, or first of all, just don't do it. And second of all, if you do it, then make sure you understand everything that person is trying to say to disprove that.
Yeah.
We're so in this world of I've done the least amount of work possible, but I know I'm right with a small amount of work that I've done. So anything that's not what I say they're stupid. And I feel like this year has been worse than any other year. So I'm going to blend these two questions together because we had both of these questions, and because I want you to talk over both of them however you feel. We are obsessed about this draft. And we've been obsessed the last 3 years. I've been on Twitter and seen this stuff. We suck at drafting as a team and just in general.
Yeah.
Why are we so obsessed with the draft? Why do we get our hopes up about we're going to make the right moves? Why do we why do we argue? Like, we spend so much time. Free agency is going to last 2 months before the draft even starts. Why are we so obsessed about the draft?
Yeah.
Like, I talk about it, but I just I just talk about it because everybody else talks about it. In my mind, we're going to do all this stuff in free agency, and I'd love to talk about that. But and those are cool things too. Like we could just pretend that the free agency is the draft. Like right, we could just do that because there's all these players, and we can say, oh yeah, we're going to draft this person, and we don't even have to have the 8th pick. We just spend on them. I feel like that's what we should spend so much more time on. Why do you think we are so much more excited about a draft when we're traditionally not very good at it?
I think, and I came to this conclusion in December. It's because our season ended in December, and we get this long time to just. We got the college football playoffs. We got conference playoff or finals. Then we got the college football playoffs, and then we got the Senior Bowl, and then we got the Combine and Pro Day. So we got all this time where we're literally seeing what we may envision our team possibly doing if they, 9 times out of 10 they're going to go differently because, again, who was thinking about Chu Smith-Wade? But we go all this time and we're able to see it, and so that's all we talk about, literally.
No, dude.
And so I think that's where the fascination of the draft just comes from. It's like that time.
Rookies rarely help you. If you're thinking about you want to, I guarantee you, if we miss the playoffs again, if Canales has a 5-win season again, we are firing him. He will be fired. I guarantee you that. So what is Canales going to do? What is Morgan? Because Morgan's same boat. Evero's the same boat. They're going to be fired because they're in a great situation. They have their quarterback of the future. You're just not the guy. So how can I best improve my team? In free agency. You're going to get maybe 3 starters in this draft. Maybe, right? And
maybe.
I mean, yes, the Myles Garrett's of the world, the Jalen Carters of the world, yes, they can help you right away. The Penei Sewells of the world, yeah, sure, they can help you right away. But it's more likely than not that they're not going to be impact. Like they might be starters, but they're not going to be impact players year one.
Right.
The obsession of it is just mind-boggling to me. Because think about Derek Brown. Derek Brown's, I think, the best player. Might be the best player, non-quarterback player in the NFC South. Might be. Like he's that good. There was bust talk about him after year 2. So it takes a lot of time for these rookies to develop. We've drafted. We've drafted.
For sure, yeah.
We at one point in time, we had Brian Burns, Christian McCaffrey. No, we didn't have Christian McCaffrey at that point. Brian Burns, Brown, Horn. Brown and Horn were both 8th overall pick, and Bryce, who was the number 1 overall pick, on the team. And they weren't good. They were a 2-win team.
Yeah.
So it's just so wild that we get so obsessive over this. And it just, I actually just need an answer. I need somebody to explain it to me. And what you said is right. You start in December. You just need, and then you get obsessed with like what everybody else is doing and chess pieces and all this. I guess it's like a little game.
Yeah, I mean, and we had the luxury of, because we're sitting at home and we're done for the season, we're watching like Commanders, right, with Sinistro. Like he got the bulk of the snaps at the nickel position, and we're watching him in the playoffs. It's like, oh well, he picked off Jalen Hurts, or he picked off Jared Goff. Look at this rookie.
Yeah, he's like
a new toy for Christmas, right? Like we got all these toys over here, or all these potential toys that we can play with, but here's a brand new toy that we're gonna like for like a day.
yeah. And like, and if they don't work out year one,
I think that's like the best for me to like kind of put context to it. It's like, if
they don't work out year one, get rid of them. Yeah, they're a bust. They're a bust.
Yeah.
Like, God, guys, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at like what we have on the list moving forward.
I mean, look how we did. They're putting his entire like rookie season and like he's the reason why we lost. He's a bust. It's like, are we not forgetting that it's a team sport and there's more, but
we gave it 47 points week 1 and we blamed it on Bryce. Bryce threw 2 interceptions that were basically punts. And we got 47 points. The Saints did not punt once. And we blamed that game on Bryce. Bryce did not play well. I'm not defending Bryce. But the Saints did not punt. Like, it's who was it that fumbled? Jonathan Mingo fumbled.
Yeah.
Like, it threw 2 interceptions.
Oh, 5-yard line, right?
Yeah, dude, Bryce threw 2 interceptions, and one was like for 30 yards, and one was like for 40 yards. And they were both on 3rd and 4th down. I mean, they were on 3rd and 4th down. Like, it didn't affect the game the way people are saying that it affected the game. It is just asinine that we blamed that game specifically on Bryce. The defense gave up 47 points, and they didn't punt. Derek Carr is their quarterback. Like, Derek Carr. Like, what are they, like?
Yeah. They started the game on what? They started the game on what? A 60-yard bomb? Like 40, 50-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed?
Also, like, look at the special teams. There was like, what, 16 seconds left in the game? And at the end of the half, they like punted, and he had like a 58-yard run back or something like that, Rashid Shaheed?
Yep.
The defense was ass. The special teams was ass. But, man, Bryce isn't the guy.
Yeah. Let's bench him. Let's move on from him.
It was so wild. All right. For me, as I look deeper in Cap, and I don't know if you followed like all my Cap shows, I don't even know if it makes sense, because all I'm trying to do is take a very complicated thing and simplifying it. If anybody's watching and just wants to just trust me, I'm doing the best I can to explain Cap. We are in excellent cap situation when you look at cap moving forward, the ability to manipulate it, the rollover cap that we can create that can give us 300 plus million in 2027. There's so much that can happen. The way that Brant Tillis is structuring these contracts, that's really nerdy. That's really dorky. But if you just trust me,
I'm enjoying it.
Just assuming that I'm not a moron and I'm not just up here for ego, trying to people like some Twitter people say I am. Just assuming that. Say I can guarantee you that we can get 3 star players, any position. We can get 3 stars, like Pro Bowl level players. Do you think this is the year to do it? Are we ready to be able to go to the playoffs and win a game? Or do you think that we should hold that cap and wait for next year?
God, that's such a good question, man. I think so I'll put it like this, and this is full transparency. I've been a Panther fan since I can remember, right? And so full transparency, when we hired Matt Rule, I walked away from the game. So, and Tepper took over. And so I don't have like the feeling of like, oh, it's been 7 years, I'm so tired of waiting. I don't have that impatience in me yet. So me personally, I would actually want to let's sign a guy or two. Let's draft some good guys if we can. And then next year, let's then go all out, right? Like, I'd rather like continue to build the foundation and make sure that our process is true rather than trying to expedite it, because I feel like whatever is built fast, it's never sustainable down the long run. And so I don't want us to like bite off more than we can chew. And so I would much rather let's take incremental, because like, in my opinion, if we can go from 5 wins to 9 to 10 wins, like, it's still a win to me, because hey, every Sunday, like we're up in the air. Like, we can win this game, we may lose this game, but like, we're in it. We're not 5 and whatever we were last year. We're not 2 and whatever we were Bryce's rookie year. So like, I'm more so on like, let's continue to see that growth. Let's continue to build the foundation, and then when we know for sure, like, hey, we can really take off with this thing, then let's go. Because again, I just personally feel like if you bite off more than you can chew, you're gonna put yourself in a situation where it's like, well, we thought we had one with this guy and it didn't land, or maybe we get into another Deontay Johnson situation. So I'm just more so like, let's incrementally, like, let's just do it level by level, brick by brick, opposed to let's just all go all out this offseason?
Yeah, so I've looked into this multiple different ways, and what I've come up with as a trend is it doesn't exist. It's all over the place. Because there's two different arguments, right? You either believe in your coach and your quarterback, and you say, no matter what the data shows, we didn't have Brown, we didn't have Waddle for half the year, we had all our players in the offensive line get hurt throughout the year, we had Adam Thielen get hurt for half the year, we had Leggett have wrist injuries apparently, we had Jonathan Brooks who we thought was coming back, he got hurt. You can justify, like, because we were 3 plays away from being an 8-win team. Honestly, we were 3 plays away from being an 8-win team.
Yeah.
And I think I sort of it. The only thing that makes me if it was in a vacuum, I would say absolutely you're correct. But the way the cap works out, it sets up for this year. So that's why I think it's gonna be this year. And the contrarian argument is when you have your 3rd year quarterback, it's the make it or break it year. And so if you know Bryce is the guy, then absolutely that's what you should do. Like, I'm going to pay Bryce. I'm not in a rush. But if you're saying I'm still not sold on Bryce. I'm still not sold on Canales. I'm still not sold on Evero. Let me make the roster not the excuse. Because what I don't want to do is end up being the Giants that are paying Daniel Jones all this guaranteed money, being the Broncos who have to completely restructure with because of Russell Wilson, Carr with the Saints, Cousins with once you pay your quarterback, that's a cap killer if he ain't the guy. So I see it both ways, but I think that the smart, logical, safe move is to go ahead and spend now, see what you have, and then you can truly evaluate your coach, your quarterback, and your defensive coordinator, because you still have you have no dead cap down the road, and this season, you make or break, you can just move on. You have all your picks the following year, you have all this cap, and you can just easily replace all of that. Because you keep those good players. You don't just trap them for a year and they're gone. But you still have all these good players, and you have a situation that other people want to come to because it's well set up. So that's the contrarian point of view, and I don't know kind of where I land on it. That's why I wanted to hear your opinion. Honestly, if it's bad, we'll just get rid of the whole thing. But what I ask is that I'm kind of with you and kind of see the other side of it as well. So I wanted to hear your point of view. From what I said, does that change anything with your point of view, or are you still on that you would want to wait one more?
No, in a sense, like, it makes sense because again, I'm still learning the ins and outs of how contracts work in time periods and stuff like that. So in that sense, if we want to cash out while Bryce is still on his rookie contract, then of course, we go all out. I think the thing that I kind of get, a little timid on is like, what if we go all out and then he doesn't really deliver? And it's like, damn it, now we got to draft the quarterback again. But no, in a sense though, like that makes 100% complete sense to me. Like, let's do it while he's still on a rookie contract, because then once we spend, at least we can spend big, but we still got those guys under contract too.
Correct.
So it makes sense.
Then you work on multiple different timelines. You draft a quarterback. He's on a rookie deal. So you can still keep all this stuff. Like, think about Brock Purdy. So they lost Jimmy Garoppolo, but then they got Brock Purdy. So they were still able to have this core around him. And they just needed somebody that could just complete passes. So I'm not that confident. I'm not that confident in our front office that they can do that. They and John Lynch. But in theory, that's what you would do. But anyways, I was just curious about your point of view on that, because that's one place where I know how it's set up. It's set up that we're going to bring all these people in, but at some point in time, Tepper's got to make that call that says, honestly, I think we're good. And Tillis, if you think it's a better cap move to just wait one more year, I believe in Bryce. Let's do it. So
let me ask you a question. Do you believe in Bryce that if we were to go all out, do you think he can get us to the playoffs?
I think he can win a Super Bowl. And I'm saying this as it is hard to win a Super Bowl. There's a lot of different things have to, and that's why it's so impressive what the Chiefs have done. You got to stay healthy. You got to have the coach. You got to have the players. You have to have the schedule.
Yeah.
There's so many different things that come into play that one little thing, like one call, like think about the Lions last year with the Dallas call. Like they were like that weird call away from being, I think, the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
If they're the 1 seed, does that change anything?
It definitely, yeah.
So luck matters. It's really, really hard. So all I look for in quarterback is what can you do? Can you find lightning in a bottle? Joe Flacco, when he won the Super Bowl, man, there was no quarterback in the playoffs better than him. He was good enough to catch fire and get the Super Bowl. Yeah. So I think that seeing what I've seen, the upside of Bryce, he absolutely can catch fire and win a Super Bowl. Can he do it consistently? I don't know yet. But
that's fair.
I know he has it. So for me, I'm only looking at upside, and absolutely. Yeah. But if I'm a safe person, I say let's get him all the weapons he can, and let's see if he can do it for an entire season, and then I'll be completely sold. And that's why usually year 3 they put weapons around you. They know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And honestly, like it just makes me think about the Drew Brees comp. He can do it. When is it going to happen? And then it does happen, but can he do it again? We don't know. But yeah, I'm with you. Like me personally, I want us to get weapons around this guy. I mean, I just do. Like, have free agency trade, whatever it needs to be. I just want weapons around this guy because, again, we got to see what it looked like when a quarterback had to put the team on his back for consistent years. And we know that wasn't fair to Cam Newton by far. By and large, that was not fair to him, that he had to carry that offense with those weapons. Like, that was just terrible. So I want to see that with him, and I want to see that for him. And I want to enjoy my Sundays. Like, I want to just see those explosive plays happening, or just seeing him just like, get the Joey Burrow treatment, like, oh, he's just this greatest. Well, it helps when you got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and it helps, so
yeah. But the thought is that the more you develop, the less that matters. So you think with Tom Brady, like when Tom Brady was 40, it didn't matter who was around him.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
He knew what everybody was going to do before they did it. So that's the thought process. It's like once these guys start to fall off, then you don't need to have the best people around you. But you can if you play the cap the correct way. And that's why Howie Roseman's able to have that super team around Hurts. And Tillis ain't far off from Howie Roseman. Tillis is a brilliant dude. I can't believe how much my viewpoint of this team has changed the more I've dug in and understanding that there was a plan. And the more I look at these contracts, the more I look at this cap, the more I look at we didn't bring anybody in last year. So I'm going through this through everything about the road to 2025. Yeah. And in 2022, we were supposed 2021, we were supposed to roll over cap to 2022 to kind of help us. And we got impatient, and we brought in Cam, and we brought in Stephon Gilmore for a team that wasn't competing. Right. And we just intentionally screwed up our cap. They sat there and watched this awful defense, which I was like, y'all, you're not doing anything. You're not trying to do anything to help. But now when I look at it in the big picture, it was a smart thing to do. Yeah, because we got to roll over that cap. So in essence, like you're pretty much saying that they kind of anticipate that the defense was going to look this bad. No, I'm saying that they didn't know that Shaq was going to get hurt and that Derrick Brown was going to get hurt and all that kind of stuff. They got killed by injuries. I don't think they thought they thought this team was going to be good. I think they thought this team was going to be average. But we did get killed by injuries, and we were three plays away from being 8-9. So we were average.
Yeah. I agree. I like that.
So I think that it was set up for this year. So there's so much luck that goes into it. That's just how it is. There's a plan, and then you have to adjust, and that's why you make contracts the way you make contracts.
Yeah.
But what I will say is they didn't panic because they got hurt, because they always knew it was about 2025. In my opinion.
It makes sense when you lay the cards out on the table like this. It makes so much sense. And this is why, for the people that are watching, this is why on Twitter I say, this is why I follow Alex. This is why I like Alex. Because you're able to take context and contextualize it and really kind of put it out in the sense of like, I didn't think of it like that. Here it is. Oh, this trend is nice. I noticed this as well, but I just didn't piece it together like Alex. And now I'm reading it, and it's like, oh, okay, this could happen.
Oh, and dude, and I'm wrong. Like, I was wrong.
And so, honestly, for me, that's why I said on Twitter, But I mean, that's why I said on Twitter a few days ago. I was like, dude, we're in a good position, better than what people think. We can flip this roster around to be in a position where it's like, yo, where did the Carolina Panthers come from?
And it's more likely than not it's going to happen. Because the trend is you need to see what you have in your quarterback, and you just give everything for it. Because that fifth-year option comes quick. And we know what happens when you get that fifth-year option out. You become married to it, because it's basically you're giving them a franchise tag, which is the worst thing you can do to your cap.
Yeah.
And that's why in third years they do it. It also takes us away from that timeline, because we're slowly building that multiple timeline that Mike K always talks about, because he's absolutely right. So we need to make sure that all our players are getting paid on that timeline. Because think about the Eagles. Every year they pay 2 players, because they structure it in a way where the second year hits the third year of these, hits the fourth year of these, and it's Howie Roseman is a magician. He's brilliant. But because this is the first, last year was kind of the first year of these contracts with Hunt and Brown, basically. This year is going to be Horn and whoever the big contract that we get in is.
Icky, I think. Do you think they extend Icky?
We'll get a fifth-year option for Icky, and then we'll extend him next year.
Okay.
That's the timeline that it is on. But if we don't get a big fish, then we'll just keep Moton's deal, and then it'll be on the same timeline.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's say, if it's not T, would we make a move for DK and then try to extend him?
I'm going to say this. I don't want to harp on it too much. They were so comfortable. They walked into the combine like they were Super Bowl champions. They didn't mention wide receiver hardly at all.
They did.
Everybody asked them about it. We assume with that receiving room, you're bringing in a wide receiver. I wouldn't say it's a priority. Yeah, why not? Why don't you think it's a priority? That's my opinion.
Yo, no, that's a good point. I mean, they were very cool, calm, and collected answering those questions, and it wasn't like last year. It was like, yeah, we got to get a receiver. This year, it's like, oh no, we know we're good.
Dan. They literally asked Dan. It's like, what's your biggest needs?
He said interior defensive line.
Dan can't lie. He said interior defensive line, outside linebacker, and safety.
Yeah.
It just
damn it, you're right. Oh my god.
And then
oh my god.
And then Canales was asked specifically, I'm assuming that wide receiver is your first priority. He goes, I wouldn't say it's our first priority. I mean, it's a priority. It's like, it ain't.
Oh. What's your catch line, man? When people talk, listen.
And that's what it's. And what sucks is that people take that very literally. That like people are taught like when they say listen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm saying. Is listen to the things that they're not saying.
Not saying.
Listen,
Yeah.
Listen, and that's why I talked about. That's why I talked about that Canales has a tell. So listen to the points when he's not using that tell, because that's when he's genuine, and then that's when he'll slip up and he'll say these things. It's a very different way that he explained Tyler Warren and James Pierce Jr. Tyler Warren, he ended talking about Tyler Warren saying these vague comments about this is the way people are using tight ends these days. They can sneak. They can like it's just very vague. Talking about James Pierce Jr., he was like dynamic, amazing, like just like all these big specific words with no ums, no you knows, none of that. He was very intentional about that stuff, and that's what you got to listen for. Like that, those are the things when I say when people talk. Listen, you listen for when they're saying things that matter or they're not saying. Things that matter. And just be logical. And that's what comes. Like think about what lawyers do. Like lawyers, when they got you on the stand, they'll just ask nonsense questions to get you to slip, to get you to tell something, and then that's where they go. And that's what we need to do, because they're gonna lie. Of course they're gonna lie. Like they're gonna try their best to lie. Yeah. Listen, what's between the lines? What's the tea leaves?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Also, I don't even know. I don't think I've ever heard tea leaves in my life until I talked about Panthers. Is that a Southern thing? I've never heard tea leaves before.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that out there. Anyway, I gotta get my kid. She's sleeping and she's like starting to cry. Bro, this is fun.
Yeah.
It was good talking with you, man. Let's
man, we gotta do this again.
Yeah, whenever you want, man.
Yeah, let's do it again, man.
I'm just sitting here at home, just drinking bourbon and taking care of a baby.
Let's do this again, though. Like I definitely appreciate this right here. Yeah,
absolutely, man. It was so much fun. Thanks a bunch. You can follow him. I don't even know what your handle is. I just see. I always type in OPM.
Just type in OPM or it's Tony Kukoc Jr. I like Tony Kukoc.
That's right. That's right. I appreciate that. I appreciate that name too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. As always, see you next time. Peace.
See ya.
I love that StreamYard does this weird shit.